BP is joining a growing number of shipping companies suspending operations through the Red Sea as Iran-backed Houthis step up attacks on ships through there. Let's bring in our panel now. Dan Greenhouse, the strategist at Solus Alternative Asset Management, Brandon Arnold, Vice President at the National Taxpayers Union. Thank you very much for joining us. I have many questions for you, Brandon. But first to this, because we're already looking at elevated oil and gas prices. While they have come down from their recent highs, they're still historically high. So if all of a sudden you have shipping disruptions, major shipping disruptions, I mean, you're talking about shipping companies passing through the Red Sea at just massive in that amount, 17,000 ships per year. That is 10% of global trade. If you get a disruption like that, could this lead to higher gas and oil prices?
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, we just have seen so much encouraging news. We've seen inflation start to fall. We've seen gas prices begin to fall a little bit. They're at their lowest prices in the entire year. And here is a disruption. Like you said, $1 trillion in annual commerce goes through the Suez Canal. So when you disrupt that, of course, when you have that disruption, when you have ships needing to go around Africa, that adds thousands of miles to their trip. It increases the cost directly to those shipping companies, which are, of course, passed down to consumers, higher gasoline prices, higher prices for consumers.
This sounds terrifying because we're heading into the holiday season. We're all looking to have a few extra bucks in our pocket. But that's the reality of the situation. And General Kellogg, Dan, joined us top of the last hour, and he had a similar warning on what is happening in that region right now. Listen.
MSC, Mediterranean Shipping, and Maersk as well, pulling out of shipping through the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. And now they're going to have to go around the Cape Hope. And the problem with that is another 7 to 10 days just on a ship's journey.
All right. So, Dan, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take the other side of the terrifying side of things. But General Kellogg is correct. When you redirect your ships down underneath the Cape of Good Hope, which is the bottom of Africa, to go around, it does add, some people say 7 to 10 days. It could be as much as called 14, maybe even 20 days, depending on a number of factors. And it certainly adds time and cost. Mm-hmm. But why I'm on the other side of the terrifying side of things is we've seen this before. This is not the first time that the Red Sea or the Suez Canal has had issues and ships have had to redirect. And it ends up being something of a temporary nature, assuming that this isn't prolonged. So it ends up being a little bit of a problem. Is it going to be the type of thing that's going to raise prices for you heading into the holiday season in a week? I severely doubt it.
Okay. Well, we could see that down the road. We'll see. We'll see how quickly they can recover. There was just this update from our Pentagon producer that it is now expected that they're going to announce some sort of international task force to protect shipping from these Houthi attacks in the Red Sea. I suppose we'll see where they get with this. They are announcing formation of Operation Prosperity Guardian. It'll be a new task force to sort of combat this from happening, because it's not just oil and gas. It would be a lot of other goods, that would be interrupted. Yeah. Want to ask you about taxes. Always a popular conversation around Christmas dinner tables everywhere. The Wall Street Journal running this headline: "The era of big taxes is upon us," basically pointing out that U.S. taxes accounted for nearly 30% of all GDP. That is not sustainable. Tell me otherwise.
No, you're right. It's not sustainable. And, the good news is a portion of this is attributable to economic growth. When the economy grows, people make more money. And when they make more money, they pay higher taxes. Of course, that's not the entire story. Our tax rates are too high, and tax revenue has begun to really take a toll on the American economy. And as we continue down that trend line, as we inch closer to the European economies, the European models of high taxes and high social safety nets, we're going to experience that same European growth, which means higher unemployment and less GDP growth and poorer people, generally speaking. That is not a path we want to go down.
No, and if Larry Kudlow was sitting here, he would tell you lower taxes promotes higher growth. 30% of GDP, that's up 25% from 2019. It's the highest level since at least 1965, Dan.
Sure.
What are you going to tell me about this?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is far be it for me to ever disagree with great friend Larry Kudlow. But I will say, since 2000, to pick an arbitrary starting point, spending is up about 170%. I'm sorry, revenues are up about 170%. Mm-hmm. Spending is up 270%. And over that same time frame, the amount of debt that the U.S. has, as share of the economy, has gone from, call it $5 trillion to, call it today, $26 trillion or so. That is more than anything unsustainable. So I would push back against the idea that the era of big taxes is here, because we don't have... I'm saying this as a non-political actor here, just stating the facts of the math. We don't really have a taxing problem. We have a spending problem. We spend a lot more than we
But
can.
if taxes are going up faster than economic growth, that is a problem. The Wall Street Journal points out that tax revenues are rising as a share of GDP. It means their increase is outpacing economic growth. That is signaling a growing government role in the economy. Many economists like Larry Kudlow would tell you is a problem.
I agree. And in the short term, that is, as we just discussed, a matter of economic growth more than tax rates going up.
Okay. Appreciate the discussion. Thanks to both of you. All right, John?
Sandra, Pope Francis.